What's going on? Welcome back to another exciting episode of Attack Productions. Today I'm joined once again by Jimmy,
Server.
who is a second-rate duelist because I think
this says first rate right here, to be honest with you.
Fluff.
You lost your ass. To show them what you lost to.
So show me what I lost
Yeah,
to.
show me you lost to.
Yeah, I lost to this chess card.
In real quick before we get into profile, in Fluff's defense, it was not in his deck whatsoever. He literally just kept it in a container until
I played You Are Number One, and then I played it and beat Jimmy with it.
And you played it in the hard case.
And
All right,
that's
enough talking about that. Links, descriptions. Later, Fluff.
See ya, homie.
Later, y'alls.
So shout out to Fluff. We made shut up. we made an agreement before the game that we chose the cards that we wanted and happened to hit the card that I wanted. So shout out to Fluff. I did come in second place today with this Cumber list. And shout out to Bancroft, first off, for putting this list together for me. I've been sick all week, so didn't have time to put anything together and send him my list, and he put it all together for me. So shout out to Bancroft for letting me play this. So we played Evil Saiyan, Cumber. On play, it's going to pull out your Prison Planet. We'll get into Prison Planet in a moment. Auto draw one. If you have 2 or more energy and a Fu Z battle card, you get to draw one, untap one, take yourself down to 6, and then you go into Big Cumber. When he attacks, draws a card. Then the activate main. Choose one of the cards that you own in your opponent's battle area and a gain servant for the turn, and it goes hand in hand with the Prison Planet. So it's a barrier field card. It reduces the combo cost of your Saiyans that have 500 combo power, which is relevant. And then permanent that you can overlord your opponent's battle cards with Servant with your Fu cards. So very unique. Never seen anything like this. A fucking ruling nightmare. If you have been on the Facebook page or the Discord or anything of that sort, you know how much of a nightmare this deck has been. But it's still a very fun deck. We'll get right into it. We'll start off with the Z deck. You have your Z leader. Awakens at 3. On attack, it will draw and then give card Servant. And then activate battle, you can combo with up to 2 of your opponent's Servant cards, which is kind of sick. It does not come up very often, but when it does, it's pretty dope. 1 Boo, it's a black staple now. 2 of the Fuzi battle cards, this is what you're going to be doing most of your overlording with. It does Z-stack for 1 into a 2-drop Cumber, and then you have Activate Main to play a 2-drop Cumber out from under him, and the 2-drop target is Captive Fighter. So on play and swing, he will give a card Servant, which is huge. You could probably play a little bit around with this Z deck. This is just what I have been playing and testing with, so I didn't want to stray too far from the norm. But yeah, you definitely need at least this package here, and then the rest of it could be whatever you want. You would run the Z leader because it's a deck that has one, and usually Z leader is pretty good. Going to the main deck, of course, Prison Planet, but then we got our Fu Unison. Only run it at 2 because it is searchable by the 1-drop. +1 to give your Evil Saiyan or Cumber card Servant. Give it basically just a +10k. Then -7, you can take one of your opponent's Servant cards. Never comes up, at least in my testing. Most of the time you're just slamming this and giving a card +10k. It does come out for 1 when you're playing in this list. Our 1-drop searches a Saiyan or Fu, or specifically this Unison card. Good turn 1 play. You don't really have a better option. Unless you're going second, then you want to put your Fuzi battle card into play. Some cards that you can give your opponent. We got Mai. So Mai, when she comes down on your side of the field, you can search for a Vegito Supreme Gleaming, which we'll get into in a moment. Or you can give it to your opponent and let them search it out. If you're playing Premier Match, that's a lot of fun. But you can activate main, play this in your opponent's battle area by drawing a card. And then, of course, you can give it Servant with your leader and then bottom it and draw an additional card with your Prison Planet Fu combo. Top 5 Searcher with Trunks. When it gives it to your opponent draws 1 and discards 1. A little disruptive. It's very similar to like old Mechikabura stuff with like the salsa. You can get a little bit of information from your opponent, which is always really nice. I don't think it's as relevant in this deck as it is in Mecha Kabora, but card's still great. A great target for that. And this is one of the cards that has the 1+5k, so it's free on your side, but it does tax your opponent a little bit if they want to remove it. We got the Vegeta Negate. Just give your opponent a negate. It does give them a blocker, but if you manage it right, you can just remove it before they get to block with it. And it is part of kind of what we call the Exodia combo with this deck, which we'll get into. I will put one of these to the side so we can talk about it when we get there. One of my favorite cards in the deck, the Berserker Instinct Goku. This card is wild. So when you combo it, gives the card plus 10,000, and then if your leader card's black, it gives it. If a card on the field that is a leader card is black, you will give it to your opponent. That is limit 1, so so if your opponent does keep this around and they want to combo it off, you're just going to get it back. But this card's kind of crazy. If you play it on your turn, it gains +5 and Servant, so it becomes a 25k double striker, which is huge.
For 1 energy, right?
For 1 energy, if you have 3 or more energy. So card is really sick. I like this card a lot. I like this card a lot, and that's part of our Exodia combo. Go into the Supreme Gleaming. This is searchable off of Mai, so we only run 2 copies because you don't want to be flooded with this card. You'd rather see the Mai, so you have the option of searching this out or giving the Mai to your opponent. But it is a barrier blocker. When you Union Fuse for free, you get to draw a card and remove one of your opponent's battle cards. And you give it to your opponent, and if their life is at 4 or less for the duration of the turn, they cannot activate counters in battles with your 8-drop Evil Saiyan or Cumber cards, which is very, very gross. And again, this is kind of the king piece in the Exodia combo. Furious Frenzy. This is like the first Cumber card we've seen and got me super hyped for the archetype, but then it took like 3.5 years for the rest of the cards to come out, and I kind of lost all interest until now. This card's really fun. It's a dual attacker that on play gives a card Servant, and then if you have 2 or more energy and your opponent has a battle card in play, you get to play him. Really good target off of your Unison to give Servant, so he's 29k dual attacker. Pretty gross. I like this card a lot. Then we have 2 Foos. I would like to play this card more. It's just every time I seem to have it in hand, it's like just a non-opportune time to play it. It's a critical. You do have Overlord on this. And then when you play it, you gain control of one of your opponent's battle cards 3 or less. And it has to be non-black, so you can't like grab your own Goku off of. You have to grab one of your opponent's battle cards, and it comes out for 2 if your opponent has battle cards in play. So the card's pretty good. Not my favorite card in the deck. I would like to actually run the promo in this list. I think it's just like a draw 1 Overlord. It'd probably replace that. Our big boy Cumbers. This card's kind of wild. Plays for 2 if you have 4 or more energy. You can give all your opponent's battle cards Servant, so lock them down for a turn, or be able to get a little bit of free removal. And then you get the option of gaining triple strike or gaining double strike dual attack. So depending on what the situation is, you would just determine it when it happens. That is another piece. To a small counter package, Evil Aura. Cards, again, another Ruling Nightmare. Counterplay. Battle card 4 or less, you take control of it, and it gains Servant. And it's not just taking control, you actually get to play it in your battle area, so you'll get your on-play autos. Card is really gross and disruptive in a lot of matchups. It is a little bit of heavy energy investment in black for 2, but when it comes up, it's kind of gross. Petrification, it's petrification. Token negates. There was a lot of times today where I was like, I'm just going to cut these from the list, and I'm glad I did not, because the token negate actually come in clutch. These are kind of falling out of favor within the community, as I see, and I do understand it, but Every time I think about cutting it, they come in clutch, and then I'm just, I don't want to cut it. Super combos, Vegeta, searchable off of pretty much everything because it's a Saiyan. 2 hostile Saiyan encounters. This card is kind of wild. It's a negate that can trigger from the drop area, and it is not in green text, so it's safe from counters, which is a little bit relevant, especially if you have a lot of yellow running around. But what I mainly use it for is the Z charge effect. As you saw, I don't know if this is coming out before or after the camera game, but it was huge in that game being able to remove the 4-drop from the field. So this card's fantastic in every way. BMS, this card, I can't seem to escape it. Every time I'm like, this card sucks, it wins me a game, and then I have to put it back in. So you don't get any of its effect, or you don't get to attack unless you have Z battle cards in play, which this deck plays a lot of. You're going to be having a Z battle card in play, so it is very good in this deck. It is basically just a Sensu Bean. It gives you Leer card plus 5k. You don't get any untap, but the 5k is sometimes important. There's a reason it's limited. Kraken Space Time. This is our Champa alternative. Gives your Black Saiyan leader plus 15k and double strike. This has kind of been clutch, and I will probably definitely go up on this because it is won me or almost won me every game tonight. The card is absolutely wild. And then our Cumber Secret Rare, it's just obvious. It does everything you want it to do. This card's still crazy. And to talk about the Exodia lineup, this is kind of, if you have this setup in hand, it's really difficult for your opponent to win or just not die on the turn that it happens. Because if you can get both of these in your opponent's battle area and then fuse into this, it makes these unnegatable. So they're just going to have to expend resources into this. And your opponent does have to be at 4 or more life. So usually the play is to put this into play and then remove your own card with the barrier, pick up whatever battle cards, peak their life, put them at 3, and then follow up with this. And most of the time I'm just choosing triple strike and just turning this sideways and just going in on this. It's kind of a gross combo when it goes off. It doesn't always happen. If your opponent has to take themselves down to 3 for like a Z Awaken or something like that, it can interfere with the auto on your Vegito, but it is something to keep in mind and something to kind of shoot for in most games if you're playing Cumber.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Jimmy. Like always, buttons, stuff. Bye.